The wind had teeth that night, sharp enough to cut through denim and bone. It carried the smell of rain, dust, and something else. Fear. Luke Harwood, a quiet cowboy who lived alone on the western edge of the prairie, tugged his coat tighter as he rode home from town. He'd stayed late helping a neighbor fix a broken wagon axle. Luke rarely spoke unless necessary, but he always showed up when someone needed a hand. A faint sound cut through the wind. At first, he thought it was a coyote, but then he heard it again. A cry. Human. Weak. Desperate. Luke's horse stiffened beneath him. "Easy, boy," he murmured, guiding the reins toward the sound. As he approached the old barbed wire fence near Miller's Creek, lightning flashed, and Luke froze. A girl, no older than 18, was tied to the fence post, wrists bound, ankles bruised, cheeks streaked with tears. Her dress was torn, her hair plastered to her face, and her lips were blue from the cold. What in God's name? Luke dismounted immediately, rushing to her side. She flinched when he touched her shoulder. "Please, don't." "I didn't do anything wrong," she whispered. "I ain't here to hurt you," Luke said gently. "Let me get you loose." Her ropes were tight, digging deep into her wrists. Luke pulled out his pocket knife and cut them carefully. She collapsed forward, and he caught her just before she hit the ground. "Who did this to you?" he asked, voice low and rough. She hesitated, trembling. "My father," she whispered. He got drunk, said I was useless, said he'd leave me here until I learned a lesson." Luke felt his jaw clench. He had seen cruelty before, but this was something else. "Well," he said softly, sliding his coat around her trembling shoulders, "lesson's over. You're coming with me." Her eyes widened. "I don't even know your name." "I'm Luke Harwood," he replied. "And I ain't leaving you out here to freeze." Her knees buckled, so he lifted her into his arms, carrying her to his horse. She weighed almost nothing. Desperation had starved her bones. Fear had stolen the rest. Luke placed her in the saddle, climbing up behind her to hold her steady. She leaned weakly into his chest, still crying softly. "Thank you," she whispered. He felt something shift inside him, something warm, protective, and dangerous. "No girl deserves this," he said. "Not ever." As they rode into the stormy darkness toward his lonely ranch house, Luke's life, quiet, solitary, painfully empty, began to change with every heartbeat, and he didn't even know it yet. By morning, the rain had stopped, leaving the earth damp and glistening. The girl, whose name he learned was Elsie, sat wrapped in a quilt on Luke's worn leather sofa. She looked so small in his oversized coat, like she might disappear into it. Luke brought her a warm bowl of soup. "You should eat." She obeyed, though her hands shook so badly she nearly spilled it. "You're safe here," Luke said quietly. Her eyes flickered up to him. "No one's ever said that to me before." He swallowed hard. "You're 18. You should be in school or living a real life, not tied to fences." Elsie gave a bitter laugh. "School ended for me the day my mother died. After that, I had to do everything for my father. And when he drank, he turned mean." Luke leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Has he hurt you before?" She nodded slowly, but never like last night. Luke felt anger burn through him, cold, controlled, dangerous. He had lost his parents young too, but he had never suffered like this. "You ain't going back there," he said firmly. Elsie blinked in shock. "But where would I go?" Luke hesitated. He was known as the lonely cowboy, the man who kept to himself, ate alone, slept alone, spoke to the stars when the nights got too long. He'd built tall fences not just around his ranch, but around his heart. Inviting someone into his life, that wasn't something he'd ever expected to do. "You can stay here," he said finally, "if you want." Elsie's eyes widened. I don't want to be a burden." "You won't be?" Her eyes dropped, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "I never had anyone stand up for me. Not once." Luke stood and gently placed a blanket over her shoulders. "Everyone deserves someone." She grabbed his hand without thinking, small, cold, trembling fingers curling around his. Luke froze, heart thumping harder than a bronco's kick. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, Elsie slept in Luke's small extra bedroom. He stayed awake listening to every sound she made, protective instincts he never knew he had flaring to life. But just after midnight, he heard her screaming, terrified, wild cries. Luke ran to her room. Elsie was thrashing in the blankets, tears streaming down her face. "Elsie," he said softly, sitting beside her. "It's just a dream." She jolted awake, panting, trembling, and then she threw herself into his arms before she could stop herself. Luke held her, awkwardly at first, then more firmly. She was shaking like a leaf in a storm. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be," he murmured. "You're safe with me." And for the first time since she was a child, Elsie believed it. Neither of them knew it yet. But safety was only the beginning. Something deeper had already begun to grow. The next days unfolded slowly, gently, like new sunlight creeping across a cold prairie morning. Elsie grew stronger. Luke fixed her cuts and bruises with steady hands. She helped around the ranch, feeding chickens and brushing the horses. She laughed once, a small sound. But it made Luke freeze in place, stunned by the warmth it brought to his empty home. But trouble always finds the broken. And 2 days later, it came pounding on Luke's wooden door. Elsie was sweeping the porch when the shouting started. "Where's my daughter?" A drunken voice slurred. "I know she's here." Elsie's face drained of color. "It's him." Luke stepped outside before she could panic, positioning himself between her and the staggering man who reeked of whiskey and rage. "You need to turn around and go home," Luke said calmly. "Who the hell are you?" her father snarled. "Someone who won't let you hurt her again." Elsie whimpered behind him. Her father lunged forward, swinging wildly. But Luke caught his wrist mid-air and twisted it behind his back with effortless strength. "This ends now," Luke growled. "She ain't leaving with you." "She's my daughter," the man spat. "And you treated her worse than a stray dog," Luke shot back. Elsie's father tried again, but Luke pushed him back, hard. He hit the dirt with a grunt. "Next time you come drunk and screaming," Luke warned, "I'll let the sheriff handle it, and he won't be near as patient." The man glared, swore, and finally stumbled away. Elsie collapsed into a chair on the porch, trembling. Luke knelt in front of her. "He won't touch you again, not while I'm alive." Her eyes filled with tears, not from fear this time, but from relief. "You don't have to protect me," she whispered. "I know," Luke said softly, "but I want to." Elsie looked at him for a long moment, her voice barely above a breath. "Why?" He didn't answer right away. He couldn't. The truth was too heavy, too real, too new. But Elsie leaned closer, searching his eyes. "Luke, why?" He finally spoke, voice low and raw. "Because the day I found you tied to that fence, something in me woke up. This ranch used to be quiet, empty. Now it feels like home. You make it feel like home." Elsie's breath caught. She wiped her tears with shaking hands. "I feel safe with you." she whispered. For the first time in my life. Luke cupped her cheek gently. Then stay, as long as you want. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. I want to stay, she said quietly. With you. Luke pulled her into his arms. Careful, slow, protective. Elsie sank against him, feeling the warmth and safety she had longed for all her life. And on that quiet porch, under a sky full of stars, the lonely cowboy and the girl he saved began something neither of them expected. A new life, built not from fear, but from healing, from safety, and from the first spark of love neither dared to name.